Okay, we're live.
All right,
Looks like
good
two
deal.
people here already. Hello, everybody.
Hey,
How are we
y'all.
doing? I'm super excited for everybody to be here, and we'll let hopefully maybe a few more people pop on. We'll give it about two more people, and then we'll have Miss Harmon or Miss Alabama or Miss what is
Mrs.
it Alabama?
Alabama. So, Mrs.
Introduce
Alabama. I was dubbed that by a subscriber, so I said, y'all just roll with it. So,
yourself. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, you go ahead and introduce yourself. We won't keep them waiting.
okay. All right. Well, I'm the Mrs. to Harmon Homestead. We are down here in central Alabama, and me and my husband, we're in our 30s, and we homestead full time. So, um, we've been doing it since 2020, and it's just taken over. So, it's become a lifestyle. So, we've got chickens. We grow, I would say, probably 60 to 75% of what we eat. And we've had quail, we've got ducks, we do the homestead thing. So, and now we're on a huge push to make the land just not so much permaculture, become permaculture, but be just a working farm and homestead. So every inch of spare space to grow and to garden and make it useful. So that's what we do.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. I want to know why you started growing food. I know a lot of people, have their different reasons behind it. So why'd you start growing food?
Oh, well, it all happened with chickens. Chickens are the gateway. So you get some chickens for
Absolutely.
your birthday, and then after that, you want to do the whole thing. But
Mm-hmm.
no, I've always liked vegetables. I've always liked fruit. I've always liked just fresh food. I mean, I love junk food. I always have my whole life until a couple of years ago. But still, even with junk food, I'd want fresh vegetables. I'd always want a side salad. And
Yeah.
I realized that I could start growing my own food. And when I saw what food was that I grew compared to what it was in the store, there was no comparison. That was Katie bar the door. There was no comparison. I never looked back. So, because what you buy at the store doesn't look like what you grow, it doesn't even taste the same. So, I
Mm.
mean, it was after that I was hooked. That was it. So,
Yeah, it seems like too, and I think the main reason why we started growing food is it's a culture in the South. It's just something that Southern people do. I
mm-hmm.
mean, even in cities and stuff, they grew up, especially if they're from around here, they grew up with gardens, and it's an Appalachian thing. I mean, you're in Appalachia too. It's an Appalachian thing to grow your own food. It's almost like it's in our DNA. Like
Yeah,
we're just drawn to do it. And so when
yeah,
we started out, it had nothing to do with like even wanting to put food up or the grocery store. It had nothing to do with any of that. I mean, although it tastes delicious, it was just culture. It was
yeah,
just who we are, where we came from. It was in our DNA. It was
mm-hmm.
just our Appalachian. It's an Appalachian thing to do, to grow your own
Yeah,
food. And so that's
yeah,
we started with a garden like most people do, and then it just kind of grew from there.
yeah.
But
Now, my great grandmother gardened all the time. That was her thing. And my grandmother never picked up the habit. My mom, dad, they had your basic few tomato plants, few pepper plants, but nothing like pumpkins and all of that. Now, my husband's family, they gardened heavily. So, kind of merged both of those together, and it brings back good childhood memories. And like you said, it's part of our culture, honestly. So,
yeah.
it is. And it's just, there's no downfalls to gardening. So you should
No.
try it, guys.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I talk about it all. Gardening is like being in the garden is like my happy place. Like you can't even ruin it for me. You could try, but you can't. Like
yeah,
it's my happy place. And I love everything. I love everything about gardening. Everything about gardening. The dirtiness of it, what you like your hands help make this and then you get
yes,
to eat it. And so
yeah,
it's like the easiest way to like actually produce something from your own hands, and like with work, sweat, blood, and tears. And I love all the
yes,
work, all the sweat, all the blood, all the tears. I love everything
yes,
about it.
yes. And you feel so accomplished, and you know that it's like you said, you put the work in and you see the results, and it's not just something that people today really think that Walmart grows stuff. They don't know
Oh,
that
yeah.
someone had to grow it and this food. And when you realize how it grows and how long it takes, and it's very complex, but it's a beautiful, wonderful thing to grow your own food. So
Yeah, it really is. And I think even more so, recently, people have discovered what's in their food, what they're putting on the shelf and calling food. I
yeah,
seen a picture the other day. It was on Facebook and somebody had shared it. And it was the back of a can of corn. And on the back of the can of corn, it said, caution about consuming because it may cause cancer.
I can believe it.
And
I
it's
can
corn.
believe it.
You mean to tell me you're putting corn on the shelf and the back of it says don't eat? And you're selling it as food? Like, wow.
Thankfully,
Why are we this? Why are we at this point?
thankfully, my nemesis was growing corn. Everybody in the county laughed at my corn patch my first year because I didn't know what I was doing. But now I'm a corn aficionado. I can grow some corn, and I've
Absolutely.
not bought corn in a long time, but I can believe it. We've done several videos on our channel, as well, being a
Mhm.
subscriber, about what we've talked about with food. And I'm just delving into this. I want to research it, but we have no clue what's in our food. We don't. I don't even think the people that are making it know, if you want to know the
Uh-uh.
truth. They don't know the
Nope.
side effects. They don't know that. That goes down the rabbit hole. So
It does. I was my husband growing up, his dad worked for a short time at like a food factory, like where they make food.
uh-huh.
Um, and they made the roast beef for Arby's.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that is not roast beef. He said that's not what that is. He said what comes in is he said the meat is absolutely beautiful when it comes in. And he said by the time it leaves, they've ground up whatever in it. I mean, whether it be, somebody's finger or a mouse or a rat or
Mm-hmm.
whatever falls in there, because they're allowed to put a certain amount of that in our food. They're
Yes.
allowed to
Yes.
have a certain amount of that nastiness in our food, whether it be a rat or a mouse or whatever. And so by the time you're going to get your Arby's sandwich, you're not
Yeah.
actually eating meat. It's not meat. He said he did just ground up and then made to look like what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And
I can believe it.
it turns your stomach to
Crazy.
even to think about.
I,
It does.
grow, y'all. Grow, 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 grow.
When they first
Raise
told
your
me that,
animals.
I was like, absolutely not. There's no way. There's no
Yeah.
way. And he was like, yeah, there
Yeah.
is. He's like, and I'm like, oh no.
Yep. The more you
And
learn, the worse it gets. It's just, once you go down this rabbit hole, there's no turning back. You just,
no,
you
no.
know,
What's ironic about it is Arby's commercial says it's real meat.
yeah.
It's real meat. No, it's not, guys. They're lying to you. It's not. It's not
Caution.
real meat. Yeah.
Caution.
Yeah. And we've been eating this for years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
For years.
Yeah.
Mm,
It's crazy.
and then we're wondering why people are getting cancer. We're wondering why people are getting sick. We're wondering why we're having all these autoimmune diseases. We're wondering why people have constantly got heart failure, and we're wondering why all this stuff is coming up. We're wondering why children are, acting the way they are and things like this. And it is our food. Food is poison now. If
Yeah.
food is poison now.
Yeah. I certainly think it does not help the situation at all. So, you know, I have had the biggest push this year to tell people to grow their own food because of even if you don't care what's in your food, the price. It will save you money. You do not
Yeah.
have to spend a lot of money to garden at all. You can do it for free, except the seed. And then if you seed save it, it is free once you get started.
Yeah.
But people make you think that it takes a lot of money. It doesn't. But if anything, it will save money. And if you've got the time to put it up, and if you don't you can freeze, and it definitely will save money. And that was kind of a huge push for me. I'm thrifty, so I wanted to save a lot of money with it, but it's so much better. The quality's uncomparable. So
Yeah. Well, and the thing about it is when you first start, and I talked about this on a video here recently, when you first start out, you don't have to do all the things. You don't
Yeah.
have to. I mean, like you're saying, you can freeze this stuff. You can master growing a garden and master growing these different things and just eat out of it in the summertime until you can't eat out of it anymore.
Yes.
Just eat those things. And a lot of things, like you said, can be frozen. Corn can be frozen, green beans can be frozen, tomatoes can be frozen. I mean, the list just goes on and on.
Yeah.
Peas, corn, all the things can be frozen and put up. Your like your pumpkins and your squashes, that stuff can be frozen and put up.
Yep.
And if you have the room, I encourage you, she will encourage you to do those things, to just put those things up and master the skill of gardening, and then move on to canning, and then just move on. It takes time to learn those things, and you don't have to do all those things at first, but it's so much better. Even if you can just eat out of the garden for the summertime, it's so much better to have
Yeah.
those things than to have to run to the store and buy the things that don't even have taste, like a tomato or just anything that you can buy off the grocery store shelf does not have the same taste as garden food, period. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste anything similar.
No, don't get me on the tomatoes. So that is nothing like an Alabama homegrown tomato. This stuff
Yeah.
at the store is, I mean, it's water, guys. It's water mixed in with other stuff. So don't do it.
What's that saying? Friends don't let friends eat store-bought tomatoes.
There you go. That's my new phrase. So.
Yeah, friends don't let friends eat store-bought tomatoes. Well, let's go through the comments and see who all's here. Let me see. Lantern Creek Game Farm here. Karen's here, but she's got to work, so she's just going to pop in and out. Family Trails, hey, y'all. Let's see. Looks like we got some Alabamans here.
We do.
Quite a few of them. Welcome, y'all. Welcome to Kentucky.
The two great states meet, so there you go.
Yes, absolutely.
Tennessee in the middle.
Yeah. I seen something today that people were saying that Kentucky is not part of the South, that we're not Southerners. It is. Actually, technically, we are. We're beneath the basic line. But we're the start of the South. But listen to us talk for a few minutes. You find out real quick that we are actually Southern. We just don't get the warm weather like y'all do. We got to deal with the snow and all of that. But it's not as warm for us, but we are actually Southerners, and we take offense to the fact that people say that we're not. We're not. We wouldn't want to be part of the North if you give it to us.
Hey, as soon as I heard Kentucky, when you told me you was from Kentucky, I said, hey, that's, she's a Southern girl here. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody, I think the last live that we did, somebody said, I hate to tell y'all this, but I don't like cornbread. And I don't. And somebody said, you're from California. And somebody else said, that's blasphemy. Don't tell her she's from California. Hey. That's awful. No, I just don't. No. I know it's completely un-Southern of me. It's completely un-Appalachian of me not to like cornbread. It's not the taste, though. I'll reiterate. It's not the taste. It's the texture. And you can't change the texture in your mouth. Like, it just is what it is. And that's how it is. But I might be slightly less Southern because I don't like cornbread, but I'm still part of the South. Okay, let me see. I've learned how good vegetables taste when they're roasted. Yes, I love roasted vegetables. Let me see. I expanded the varieties. I grow rutabaga, turnip, radish, squash, etc. Roast them all. Absolutely. I love good roasted veggies.
Yep.
Amazing. That's
drizzle a little olive oil on it. Yes, very good. Very good.
Yeah, Lakin loves vegetables. She's been raised from the garden. She's never been a picky eater, and her favorite way, and about the only way that I can get her to eat, like carrots, she calls them cooked carrots. Mom, can I have cooked carrots? And it's roasted vegetables. As long as you roast them or soften them for her, it's amazing to her. She
Good.
won't eat them like raw or crunchy, which I don't really like a crunchy carrot or a crunchy broccoli either. I would rather have it, like um
Soft.
soft or with a bunch of ranch on it.
Yeah.
I can do
Yeah.
with ranch or like Italian dressing or some kind of type of dressing on them. But if you're having problems with your kids eating vegetables, just roast them a little bit, and that's my mom tip for the day. That they will they will probably like them a little bit better if they're roasted. She calls them cooked. Mom, can I have cooked carrots?
Well, hey, she's eating them, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah. I think we've managed to not have a picky eater because we've always just ate the garden food, like
Yeah.
spinach, things like that. Your greens, your collards, your stuff like that. That's usually stuff that like your kids won't eat. But when she started eating, like actual adult food, she was
Yeah.
eating green beans and corn and squash and your mixed greens, your collard greens, your spinach, your broccoli, all of those things. And so it made it a little bit easier not to have a picky kid because she didn't have the option to not like it because that's what she was eating.
That's what
And so
she's
I think
raised around. Yeah. So, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and my husband always talked about we've always talked about it is you just break off an ear of corn out of the garden and she just eat that ear of corn out of the garden. It didn't even cooked or anything like that. She's been raised just eating that stuff. And it's funny because here recently, her birthday was recently, and my dad had an old picture of her, and we were working out in the garden. She was walking, but I don't think she was quite two yet. And she had dirt all around her mouth and running down her arms and all
Bless,
over her hands. And she had been eating dirt out in the garden
bless
with
it.
mom.
Bless it.
It made her grow. She's big
Hey,
now.
it's good for her. There you go.
Boosted that immune system. So,
There you go.
but yeah, I think that, and that's another reason to grow a garden for your kids, just to grow a garden for your kids. Allow them to have that opportunity to be in the dirt and to learn new things while they're out there and to learn how to grow their food, which is
Yeah.
absolutely important. And I talk about this over and over again in my videos. It is so important. It is so important. It is so important for our next few generations to know how to grow food, to know where their food comes from. And it's crazy to me. I talked about on a video here recently, and I think that you had commented on it or had watched it. It was about that girl who was, our age. She's in her 30s, and she had no clue that she could go outside to her lemon tree, pick a lemon, and use that
Yes.
lemon in her food. And she thought something had to happen in between. And, it's it's a it's so important for people to know, that it's a basic necessity to know where your food comes from.
If we're having this much trouble in our generation, what is the next one going to have?
Yeah,
That's something to think about. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
scary.
It's a big and growing problem. It's not getting any smaller. It's growing and growing and growing. The fact that food is that there's such a disconnect from food. It's just such a separation from the food that people buy in the grocery store and not realizing that somebody had to process that. Something had to happen in order for that to make it to the grocery store. Walmart is not growing your food. It doesn't just pop up on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And people truly think that that's what happens. And I, it's a very sad reality of today's world. And I talked about this too, I think in the comments of one of my videos or maybe on a live here recently. Another YouTuber I was scrolling through shorts and she had a short pop up and she was talking about having meat rabbits and the amount of meat that she can grow within a year. And somebody commented on that video and said, rabbits are not food, they're pets. Why are you eating rabbits? And rabbits are food. They are a source of meat. They are food, and they're just as much food as your cows are, and your pigs and your chickens. They're just as much food as that chicken that makes chicken, and that pig that makes pork, and that cow that makes beef. They are just as much food. We're taking animals that used to be food, that used to be meat, and we're turning them into pets. And then it's ruining generations of people because now they think that you're evil for eating a rabbit, and that's not actually food. It's like eating a cat or dog. And they're
Yeah.
food. They're actually food, and they're made to be eaten.
Yeah.
That's why they were
It's like
domesticated.
there's a push. I mean, to me, for all meat, that they want to decrease consumption. A, the price is too high, you can't afford it, or B, they're trying to tell you something like this, and you're cruel if you eat something like a rabbit. All of my Appalachian cookbooks, I mean, your old timer recipes have stuff like rabbit, but then you get into possum and things like that, and we kind of I mean, a lot of people today where I live don't eat possum or anything like that, but
Yeah,
it could be a source of food. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, but there's a media push to make you think that this is not edible food, and
Yeah.
there's a whole push in general to make you think that this is not good. There was a commercial about potatoes. I don't know if anybody's seen this or not, about potatoes, and it aired around Christmas. And this one girl sat down at the table and she served everybody potatoes, and she said, "I grew these out of my garden," and everybody spit the potatoes out. And they said, "Oh no, we want to buy our potatoes." That was a huge TV commercial. And they were telling you, like, "Hey, you need to go buy this brand instead of growing your own." And I couldn't believe that was on like national TV. But I mean, there's a huge push for people to think that it's not good to raise your own meat, raise your own food. You need to go buy it. It's because, I mean, how else are people going to make money? So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we've seen here recently too, like the the amount of money that they're making off of food, that they're jacking up prices but you have to buy it. You can't grow
yes,
your own food because it's too, as they say, it's too expensive to grow your own food, or it's not good to grow your own food, or seeds are too expensive, or you can't start a garden at home. Why would you do that? Somebody told me, comment on my videos the other day, and I talked about this on a live. They said, "Why would you grow food in polluted ground?" I was talking about
polluted
growing a
ground.
garden. And I said, Andy, I said, "I'd like to know if they've snuck on our property and tested our soil, because I'm truly concerned. Do you know something about
Polluted
my soil
ground.
that I don't know? If it's polluted, you need to specify what's polluted about it, because I don't want to grow my food in that." That's what they're telling people. They are telling people that their ground is polluted and they cannot grow food on it. Wow. Wow, that's insane. Why are they doing that? And I don't want to get into why they're doing that. We all know why they're doing that. And it's insane. And I'm here to tell you, and she is here to tell you, that you can grow your own food and your ground is not polluted, and you need to grow as much food as you can because it's better for you. It's good, and it saves money, and all of the things. All of the things. There's a million reasons as to why you need to grow your own food. It's so
I agree.
concerning. It's so
I agree.
concerning. Let me see. Possum and grits. Somebody said possum and grits.
There you go. That's an old
Absolutely.
dish there.
Yeah, well, I've talked about it on a live before. I'm willing to try possum. I am. I'm willing to try possum. If somebody wants to process a possum, I'm willing to try it because I might need it one day. And I
Yeah.
better learn to like it now. Somebody said it was greasy. I've heard it's greasy. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh.
We were talking about, we were talking about possum and stuff and having recipes for it. My husband, he's a little bit older than me, and his grandparents grew up, in the Great Depression, and they were just poor. This is Appalachia, we're just poor, poor people in Appalachia. And back then it was a lot worse. It was a lot
Yeah.
harder, and it's still hard for Appalachians in general. But they ate. I mean, they robbed nest, and they, they ate doves
Yeah.
and you know what I mean? Like they went out in the woods, found a nest or whatever, and robbed it and ate what was in it. You know that
Hey,
they did.
time stuff, you know.
Yeah. I mean, somebody had commented a while back ago that it was Ark. What is his channel? Ark Wild Man. I hope I said that correctly. He said that
I
he
know who you're
eats
talking about.
raven. He eats raven. He said he cuts the breast off the raven, the blackbird, and he soaks the breast in Sprite, and he loves it. And you know, that's a. I don't have a recipe book for that in it, but I'll remember that.
Y'all start with some chickens, okay?
Yeah, you don't actually have to eat the possum, but I'm
Oh.
a weirdo that's willing to try these things.
Hey, I
You
try.
know,
I try anything once. Me and a friend of mine was talking about turtle today. So I mean, you know, that's a delicacy some places. So hey,
yeah.
you know, but hey, to each
My
his own. You know.
well, like I talked about, my husband was raised. I was a town kid. I was raised up in town, but my husband was raised plum country, and like I said, his grandparents used to go out and rob nests. Actually, down the road from us is a pond that ducks and geese used to lay their eggs in, and they had a nest for it. And him and his mama would get up in the morning, they'd walk down there, they'd rob the eggs out of the nest, and they would crack them open and eat them in this kitchen. This is her house. They would eat them in this this kitchen.
Hey, I mean, an egg's an egg, really. I mean, really, it is. You know, an egg's an egg. So
It's funny to talk about though. Like they get up in the morning and take that trek down to the pond down here, and they would get,
yeah,
they would get their breakfast, and they ain't nothing. I mean, she was what I think she was 96 or maybe older than that when she passed away, and so they dug they reached their hands in them snapping turtle things holes and grabbed them snapping turtles out, and his grandfather was raised up on the river, so they did a lot of fishing. He loves fishing and all those things. Thank God I've got a husband that loves fishing and that likes to hunt and things, so he can bring that stuff in.
yeah,
And he knows those skills. He knows skills that I don't know. Like he's done
yeah.
things that I don't know. He's went ginsenging and things like
Really,
that. I've never done that. And so he knows a lot more than I do. He's got better survival skills, but like we were talking about earlier, his grandparents passed those skills down
right,
onto him.
right.
And he's now passing them on to me. He's almost 30-year-old wife, and he's passing them down to his daughter.
Yeah,
And it's survival skills. It's survival skills, and they're necessary skills to know where your food comes from, and to know if you get in a situation like that you can find food, that you can figure something
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Let's see what we
I
got
see
all
a lot
kinds
of
of
food.
more conversations going on. There's people that won't eat crawfish because they've grown in muddy ponds. Yeah. We starve down here without seafood. Yeah. So we
Hey,
don't
now
have none of that
crawfish is my
seafood.
favorite. I like that better than a steak. My husband's gonna jump out of the bedroom and get me. But hey, Hilltop, I love crawfish. I love it. I love it better than snuff. I love this stuff. It's so good. I love a crawfish bowl.
It's
Crawfish etouffee, the whole 9 yards. I'm in the wrong state. I know. So
is crawfish like what we call crawdads? Is
yeah,
that like the little? Oh, okay.
yeah.
I was
Little
thinking it was
mud
the.
duds. There you go. Yeah.
We call them crawdads or crawdaddies. That's
Yeah.
what we call them. But I've never actually had one.
Really?
I've
It's
never
good
had
eating.
one.
It's good
Now we
eating.
got a million of them on the farm, though. They put old big holes in our pasture and built them big old mounds where we live in a swamp.
Hey.
They're all over the place. We might have to catch. It'd be really easy to catch them up. Funny story. We had a crawdad hole down by our barn, and we put our dog food out there. And there was 2 different times that we caught a crawdad in the dog food bowl eating the dog food.
Really?
Yeah, they'll cut in and eat the dog food. I should have snatched him up and ate him for
There you
doing
go.
that.
There you go. That's good stuff.
Yes, I say, we were talking the other day, so I was talking about, getting rid of their chicken because it was kind of mean, and mean chickens taste better. They always do. So maybe thieving crawdads taste better.
There you go.
Yeah,
Probably just
absolutely.
getting rid of that mean rooster that made it taste so good.
Yeah, yeah. They can cause a lot of trouble. Somebody said alligator meat tastes good. I've never had alligator. Now
Never.
my little girl has, but I never have.
I never have either.
I I've seen it, and to me, it looks like it'd be like chewy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like muscly, but I don't know. I don't know. Somebody said that the tail's better, but to me, that would be even more more muscly than
Worse.
like a side or a belly. But
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I'm willing to try things. Somebody said some people even eat rattlesnake. South Alabama has rattlesnake rodeo each year. That's neat.
There is. It's called Op, Alabama. They take rattlesnakes and they race them down a racetrack. And I'm petrified of snakes. Y'all watch my videos. I'm petrified of snakes. Any kind of snake, good snake, bad. It don't matter. I can't stand it. Somehow or another, I
Really.
got looped in going to that rattlesnake rodeo, and believe it or not, I tried it. That was the toughest piece of meat I've ever had in my life. I'm not even sure it was meat. So I just tried like a smidgen just to say I tried it, but I said, "Get me out of here." I mean, it was just the wrong element. It was cool what was going on, but I don't know. That just it was. I'm petrified. I haven't been right since. Okay, just don't do it. Don't do it.
That's funny because we actually go herping in the summertime. Me, my husband, and my daughter sometimes goes with us. And we go herping. We go spotlighting the roads in the middle of the night and go catch rattlesnakes. And
Really? Do you eat them?
No,
Okay.
we like to just look at them.
Might pass out right here. Look, I don't know about y'all, but we've got timber rattlers the size of my thigh. I mean, people down here get them mounted, put on the wall. My husband's family has them on the wall. I mean, they're so, trophy size. So, I mean, we are
Yeah.
thick in the woods, and it's very, these things are bad down here. So, and they don't,
Yeah.
they don't know the difference between a yard or the woods. They'll be in your yard. Your yard is their woods, so you have to be very careful. But
that's Appalachian in a nutshell right there.
Yeah.
Timber rattlers and woods for yard.
Yeah. Water moccasins
Yeah.
and copperheads. So
Yeah.
those three.
Yeah, they where we're at is not as bad, but there's certain areas that we go looking for snakes, but there's certain areas like towns surrounding us that are a little bit more like mountainous and stuff where they can get in like holes and things, and it's not really that hard to find a snake around in surrounding areas. And when me and my husband first got together, that our farm that we use, I've said it before on videos, but I'm not sure if you're aware or other people are aware. The farm that we farm on is my mother-in-law and my father-in-law's farm. We actually are stuck in town until we can save up enough money for our own land. And we asked them if we could use their land to grow food on, and they said absolutely. Do whatever you want, and we've got free reign of just the land that wasn't being used. But when me and him first got together, they didn't use it. And so it was, 3 acres and then a big wooded patch that we've, slowly built into and kind of cleaned the wooded areas out and stuff. But when me and him first got together, we'd walk through the yard and snakes would just all over the place. And now that we move around it a lot more, it's not as common to see a snake. But last year around garden season, I seen the biggest, the biggest garter snake. I think it was it was a black snake. It was a rat snake is what it was, because we had seen it multiple times, that I've ever seen. And I'm going to say, I don't really know, like 4 foot. It was going through the yard. And we were just sitting back watching it. And I was scared to death it was going to get eggs, but he said no, it wasn't. And at that point in time, we were having problems with rats and mice, and he took care of them for us. So I appreciated his services.
Yeah.
Appreciated them. You probably wouldn't appreciate them so much.
No. Nope. My husband
My,
said, if you cut down one more tree in this yard, I mean, I'm trying to make it look like the Mojave Desert. I'm trying to see all areas, a 360 around me, because I'm just, woo. I mean, it's so primitive where I live. It's just, woo. I don't want
yeah,
to step on anything unknown. So,
yeah. Well, I've stepped on snakes before, and it's not. It don't feel good under your foot to like
I bet.
step on a snake. It
Yeah.
don't. And you know that you've stepped on it once you stepped on it too. Like you know, and as much as I think snakes are beautiful and I love to look at them, stepping on one and then turning around and realizing that it's a snake
Yeah.
will make your heart come out of your body.
Yeah.
And you will think you've died for a second, like you're nuts. That's scary. One time we went out in the woods and we were mudding actually, and we were walking through this muddy area, and we had went through there, and we were watching for snakes, and I did not see the snake when we went in, and then when we come back out, he was walking in front of me, and he literally stepped over the snake. He never did see it, and still to this day, I don't believe that he believes me. But I stepped right on it, and he's like, "No, that wasn't no snake." I turned around and I seen it slithering off. I know it was a snake, and it was like that big around. I'm lucky I didn't get bit. It
Yeah.
like when it went under your foot, when it went under my foot, it like rolled and then flattened, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm in trouble." And so yeah, I did like a little skippy doo out of there.
I'd be hightailing it quick.
Yeah, I jumped 20 foot in the air probably, and he thought I was making it up. I said, "No, honey, I promise you." He said, "I didn't see it." I said, "Well, you wasn't looking then. It was there." And I about died. And it was your job to watch. You went first.
Yeah, I don't. If my husband walks for me, oh, it's fine. I just walk through there. Don't do it, ladies. Wear those snake boots, okay? And look at your eyes. Because it'd be my luck, I'd get bit, and he'd step right over it, and it'd never know
Yeah,
different.
I don't even know how he missed it. I'm serious. It was huge. And that's why he thinks like to this day, I believe that I wasn't that I like just hallucinated it. But I know. Like I know I know it was there. He's never stepped on a snake, is what I'm thinking. So he don't know. He don't know what it feels like.
Well, the same thing happened to me, and well, I didn't step on one, thankfully, because I think I shed quite a few years last summer in my corn. It was ready to pick, and we had let the weeds get up around it, and my husband, he was going to weed eat it, and it was so thick I couldn't hoe it out. And he had walked through there, and he said, "Oh, it's fine. Come on." I said, "That looks snaky to me." He said, "Come on, it's fine." And he's very tall. He's 6'7", so I mean, it takes him a ways to even see the ground. So he just traipsed on through there. He said, "Come on." I'm looking every step, timber rattler laying there, and I had put my foot over it. And I jumped back and I screamed and ran across pasture, and sure enough, he didn't believe me then. He said, "There ain't no snake up there." I said, "Yes, there is. There's a timber rattler." And I was just screaming. So thankfully that was a close call, but you have to watch where you're stepping. So especially on a homestead.
Hilltop Home Place said men have to see it to believe it. They absolutely do. They think you're like hallucinating it, and you're not. Like you're not. It's actually there, and things happen. I could die. I mean, you need to be believing me in these situations.
I think men think snakes exist a whole lot less than women. I don't know, but I'm petrified of them. So ever since I went to that rodeo, I've not been right. So maybe it'll shape been right.
Absolutely. It looks like there's a lot of people here, and I just want to stop and say thank you all for showing up and supporting and just being you all. It's amazing the community that you can have on YouTube, and we are blessed. I feel blessed to have you. I'm sure she does as well, and we're thankful you all are here. All right, so I got some questions wrote down, and and we're gonna see. Let's see. What are you most excited about growing this year?
Ooh, I have some Big Macs and Atlantic giant pumpkins. So they're supposed to be I couldn't even tell you, like massive, massive pumpkins. We'll see if that pans out. But I've never grown anything of that caliber, so we will see how those do. But I hope I can get a Cinderella pumpkin down here.
Yeah,
So
that'll be
that would be
fun. That
yeah.
would be that's totally awesome. That is like that'll be so fun to have like a project, like a big project to just
Yeah,
like baby
yeah.
in the garden.
That would be my favorite vegetable. If I had to break it down, my main thing I'm excited about would be herbs. I'm totally excited about herbs this year. So I've never
Yeah.
delved into that, and that's my huge project this year. And today I was building raised beds for herbs. So everything is herb this year. So
Yeah. That's something I'll have to watch your videos on that because that's something that I've not really done. I've wanted to. I've always like said I need to grow this stuff. You know, I want to grow this stuff, but I've never actually done it. So I'll
yeah,
be curious to see. I'll be keeping an eye on your herb garden and seeing how well it does for
fingers
you. For
crossed.
you, I'll know if you can do it. Then maybe I can.
What I always tell y'all, if I can do it, you can do it. So because I can't do much of
Yeah.
it, or I started as a complete beginner with zero experience. So if I can do it, you can do it.
Let me see. Family Trails dill pumpkin seeds are known for huge pumpkin. Wow, I've never heard of dill pumpkin seeds. That's
I haven't
interesting.
either.
He's
Dill
in
pumpkins.
Canada, and
Okay.
so they probably got some other seeds than he grows an absolute beautiful garden, and he's got the prettiest peppers I've ever laid my eyes on. He's very
Family Trails. Okay, I'll have to check it out.
yeah, he grows like he keeps all of his pepper plants separate. He don't cross germinate, so he has like some some beautiful, amazing peppers
Beautiful.
that he puts a lot of hard work into. Okay, let's see what's on. How long have y'all been farming? I don't know if you said it in the beginning. I'm curious.
Since 2020. Since spring of
2020.
2020. That's
Awesome. That's
that's
great.
when we started.
That's that's a perfect example of you have started growing just recently, and you've done so well, and you're growing. I think you said what's the percentage of the amount of food that you said that you grow?
I'd say 60 to 75%.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's growing 60 to 75% of her food, and she's learned that skill with just in a short period of years. And so if anybody is wanting to get started, that's a perfect, example. Here's a living, breathing example of what you can do, and how to produce your own food within a short
Yeah.
period of time. What's this question? How far apart do peppers need to be away from crossing?
I can't tell you because I don't seed save yet. So as
I
far as taste, hot and sweet, I'm gonna say probably 30 feet, 20 to 30 feet, to be sure that you don't have like a spicy bell pepper or a sweet jalapeno, because I've had that happen, and
Oh,
that is
really?
yes. If you plant them together in rows like jalapeno, cayenne, bell pepper, you will have a hot bell pepper. There's a good chance you will. We had that happen even this past year. So yes, they need to be, I would say, 20 feet apart to be on the safe side. One side of a raised bed to the other, you should be okay.
Yeah, to be honest, ACQ, I actually have no clue. I don't really. I let my stuff cross pollinate. I'm not. I just let it cross pollinate. I almost feel like sometimes with certain things like beans and tomatoes and stuff, it really doesn't like matter that much. If you're seed saving, and now if you're wanting to keep something pure, like if you're actually wanting to keep pure seeds, like she said, probably a pretty large distance would be, what you would want to do. Family Trails would know better about peppers than anybody that I know about seed saving, because he does it. He does it, and so he knows. And so I encourage you all to go check out his channel, because I'm sure he's going to be showing that stuff in the seasons to come. I'd say his growing season is a little bit shorter and probably starts a lot later than us, being that he's in Canada. But I'm
Probably
sure
so.
he's going to have some garden videos up, and he would know. He would know. I really can't. I can't tell you. So let me see. What's something you want to learn to do
Ooh,
that you don't know?
Something I want to learn. Um, it's going to be with the herbs. I want to learn how to make my own tinctures, how to make my own herb like mixes with the dried herbs. This year's all about the herbs. So
Yeah.
that's going to be a steep learning curve, and there's a lot that goes into it. Like a rosemary tincture, anything like that. It's a lot of learning. So
Yeah.
we just got to get the plants going, and then we'll be able to do. This year, I want to be able to dry nasturtiums. If anybody's ever heard of those nasturtium flowers, nasturtium leaves, you can eat, and I'm going to get all into that. So that's a huge thing as well too. So
Yeah, I want to be, I want to, like you're talking about getting more into the herbs. I want to do more of the herbs because I want to have more teas and things like that. We tried to save back goldenrod, and I haven't done a video on this yet. I saved back a ton of goldenrod, and Lakin and Andy can drink it. I cannot drink it. It goes down and then it comes directly up. I
yeah,
can't swallow it, and I don't know why. Like I don't know if I'm allergic to it or something, but it literally just comes right back up. I
yeah,
can't swallow it. Like it just won't go down. And I really wanted it to work. I wanted the goldenrod to work. And we have so much goldenrod. So I was like, oh well, this is gonna be something that grows. I don't have to fool with. It's gonna grow by itself. I'm gonna get it. I'm going to
yeah.
dry it out, and then I'm going to be able to drink it, and I'm going to be doing a lot better in the wintertime. But no, I could not. I
Couldn't
could
take
not.
it.
I couldn't take it. Something else though, rabbit tobacco. Have you heard of rabbit tobacco?
Sure have.
I didn't save any last year because I didn't know about it until after I started gathering the goldenrod, and somebody said, hey, rabbit tobacco comes just before goldenrod, so if you can get a hold of it. So I'm going to try to get a hold of some rabbit tobacco and see if I can do a little bit better with it than the goldenrod. But I think that it would be a great idea to start, like you're saying, with the herbs and learning more about the herbs and the tinctures and the
Yeah,
tea and all of that stuff, so that I can grow it, and then maybe I'll be able to tolerate it a little bit better than I would, say, the goldenrod.
yeah. It's very comprehensive, and there's a lot. And herbs go in with foraging too. Foraging's hard to me because I'm so scared I'm gonna get a hold of something poisonous. I mean, so
Yeah.
it's a lot of it's steep learning, especially if you're growing herbs that you've never even seen before. And that's what I'm in this year is I'm growing herbs from seed. I know some of these are naturally even around here, native to this area, but I want it from seed in a certain spot so I know what it is. That way I'll kind of get a little one up on knowledge about it.
Yeah. Major allergy issues with goldenrod. See, if you look into goldenrod, a lot of times they'll tell you that you're probably not allergic to goldenrod. You're allergic to other things that grow around goldenrod. And so I thought, well, it makes my nose run. It was making me itch while I was doing it, but I was like, maybe I'm just into something else. Like maybe it's not actually the goldenrod. Turns out it is actually the goldenrod, and everybody else can tolerate it in the house but me. Like I'm actually truly allergic to the goldenrod. I'm not just like, saying I am. I really am allergic to it.
Yeah, better stay away from it. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be in it getting that rabbit tobacco. So
there you go. It's plentiful down here. So.
I'm not so bad to. I don't break out in hives or anything, but it does like make me itch, and I do like need to go.
Yeah.
You're like if you're allergic to like a cat or a dog, and you kind of get like that smothering feeling, but like you can still breathe, like you're okay, but you really want to get a shower, like you want to get it off of you. That's what goldenrod does to me. Why I didn't see like these, ding, 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 ding.
Don't do it. Stay away from that stuff now.
Well, was not listening to my body whatsoever. I wanted that goldenrod to work, and it don't. And so now I've got a bunch of goldenrod that I'm trying to pass off to people when they tell me they're sick.
Yeah.
And say, here, take this. You're probably not allergic to it like I am.
People around here be like, goldenrod, you're trying to give me goldenrod? So they think, oh Lord, because it's everywhere down here. So
it is too, and it's up here too. Something I do want to try, and I have saved the goldenrod back. I probably wouldn't be able to use it, but for sore muscles, you can take goldenrod, cover it in olive oil, and take that oil, and then let it, pour the goldenrod out, take the oil, and then you can use it for rubbing oil for muscle soreness and things like that. And so
You
I
can do
think
the
that
same with comfrey. We're making a huge push for comfrey this year too, and that's great to have on a homestead, especially with animals.
yeah, yeah. I don't know much about comfrey, but I know the name comfrey, and I know like some things about it. And
Yeah.
but to be honest, I'm not as versed on comfrey as I feel like I should be.
So,
But
hey, we're all here to learn, though. We're gonna learn.
yeah. Well, and that's the good thing about it is you're talking about herbs and you're talking about comfrey and you're talking about these things, and you can teach. Like I can't, but you can teach people about these things and show them and that's amazing. That's the amazing thing about the homesteading community. That's the amazing thing about people being able to put content out, is because just I might not know something, but I can learn it from you. And that's what I love about this, and that's why I try to grow this community as much as I can, so that I can tell them what I know, and then I can say, hey, go to them because they know more about this than I do. And that's an amazing thing.
It's a community. Everybody helps each other.
That we can help other people, and then we all have the same interest, because people are coming, for the most part, people are coming over because they're actually interested in what you have to say. And they want to learn something new, and I think that's fantastic. I'm one of those like ever learning people. Everybody always is, but I love to learn. Like I honestly, truly love to learn new things. I love to learn. And so I watch, a lot of channels to learn things, because I love it. Even if I'm not going to use the skill, I love to know about what
it never hurts to know. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. We've got some comments. Family Trail says if the snow ever melts, he's talking about gardening. They've got like that much snow. It just keeps growing.
I've got the doors open to the house right now. I put on long sleeve just for comfort, but it's warm here, so.
Yeah, it drives my husband nuts. If it didn't drive him nuts, then every morning when I got up, whether it was cold or not, I would open the windows. I open up the front door and the screen door all day long when he's not here. When he's at work, I turn that heat down and I open up that door and I let that cold air in. I even if I'm cold, I love just like being outside. I love the fresh air. I just love. I don't know. I love it. I love letting it in my house. Yeah. And we are getting warm. I think I opened up the door today. I was like, wow, it is getting awful warm in here. And it was like 71 degrees in my house. I was like, yeah, we're opening up the door today.
Yeah.
Let me see what all we got here. Rabbit tobacco grows wild in Alabama. Do you grow everything in the ground?
No. Or you go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
We've got 2 spots that are in ground, and I call that my pasture garden or pasture gardens. Everything else is in raised beds. 20 by 30, 10 by 20, another 10 by 20 today, and several more on the way.
We primarily grow in the ground. It's about a half an acre, the garden that we have that's in ground, and then our personal garden, which I call like my kitchen garden, that's at our actual house, and then we have the farm garden, which is it's 2 families that eat out of it. We grow in the ground mostly. We do have 3 garden beds that we put up in the spring of last year, and it has berries. We do grow like garlic and onion in those as well, cabbage, and the rest is the one bed is all strawberries, and the next one is raspberries and blackberries and blueberries, I think is what it is. So we grow mostly in the ground, mostly because we have to grow so much food is really what it comes down to. And it would take a lot of money to put the raised beds in for the amount of land that we actually produce and grow food on. And also it's just easier at this point right now, especially where we have to manage 2 gardens, to just have it. And Although I think raised beds are easy. I think that they're, we talked about this on my live the other day, that the older you get, the older individual gets, I definitely think that raised beds are, a lot easier for an older individual to have to deal with and, to manage and things like that. And I think that I love raised beds, and I'm glad that we did get to put in a couple last year, but they're only, like this far, off the ground.
Yeah.
They're not anything major, but he said, yeah, it saves time. Absolutely. But right now that's what works best. And so we'll probably just do it until it doesn't work anymore.
Hey, use what you got. We've planted everything from now. I started out in buckets. That was my main thing. I planted in mop buckets. Dollar Tree stackable planters. That's one of our top videos. You can grow bush beans in those things. I mean, it does not have to take a lot. You can grow in anything. You don't have to get certain garden planters and all that. You can do it on the cheap, or a lot cheaper back then. But I got out of the buckets because I'm adding more raised beds. But
Yeah.
I'm using raised beds because of just the land, and we've got such shale rock up here by our house and clay, and it's just rough. So
Yeah. I can vouch for the roughness of clay. We don't have much rock where the garden is. But it's straight, when it's clay, like it's straight clay.
yeah,
It stays wet. It's very damp. We have to make the garden beds, like we have to till them in a certain way, that way that the water will drain. And that's another thing, is it would be amazing to do like you're talking about, a permaculture thing, but we have to direct water away from our plants, and we have to till it, just a certain way to keep that water out of the plants, on top of the fact that it is clay soil. And so when it rains, it sits for a while, and then when it dries, it's like desert and concrete. And so it's not the greatest thing to grow in, but we've made it work. And we've been able to grow enough food for 2 families, put food up, and also sell it, with the amount that we have. So it works. It works. Let me see. You can control soil. Yeah. Healthier, easier. Are you talking about the raised beds? Yeah, I definitely think that raised beds, it seems like raised beds are a lot more popular now, and I can see why, because it seems really easy. It makes it easy for a lot of people to grow food. And I think that it's amazing. I think that it's great. And like I said, for certain people that maybe otherwise wouldn't be able to grow food, that they can grow food, like you said, in buckets and in those towels and in a raised bed and in a planter or pot or whatever. And more power to you. I absolutely love that. I think that is great. And like Family Trails, he grows his. I think if he doesn't grow everything in it, he grows primarily in the raised beds. And I think he's kind of in like a town situation. And so he can grow his own food, and that's, fantastic. I love that. And like you're saying, it's easier to maintain. Maintain. And let me see, my peppers, I grow in 10-gallon pots. Yeah. Yeah, I think that that people showing stuff like that, growing in pots and in buckets and things like that, I think that it is making other people feel like they can do it too. And and I love that, because like we're talking about us having. No, we live in the country on 3 acres. Oh, okay. Well, that's great. I wasn't for sure. That's why I was kind of iffy about it, but I wasn't for sure. But a lot of people can't have like a half an acre like we do, of garden space, and I don't want to make it seem like that everybody needs to have that much, because we have half an acre at the farm, but our where our house actually sits, we rent a lot out, and our lot is not even a half an acre. And so we have a small garden where we live, and we eat out of it and have for years. And it's my kitchen garden, and I even can out of it. I can produce enough food to even can out of it. It's only, I'm trying to think of how many rows that we do. We do 2 rows of corn, 2 rows of tomatoes, a row of cabbage, and 3 rows of beans. That's our garden. here at the house, and peppers. The peppers and tomatoes are, in together in the garden. But yeah, so that's the size of our regular garden. We do grow that, our home garden. We do grow that in the ground, and so we don't have. We didn't start out with a massive garden, and we can still produce quite a bit of food out of that small garden and eat out of it all summer long.
You don't have to have a huge area to garden. That's like you said in your last video. That's a misconception, because you can garden anywhere, anyhow. It is, and you're going to find out the more you grow, the more hassle it is putting it up and taking care of it. And now, if you love it and want more, then that's good. But even if you start out small, if you tend to it and tend to it well, you're going to realize that it's going to be a lot really quick. So
yeah, and it doesn't have to be a lot to grow your own food. Rabbits is another thing that a lot of times comes up when you're trying to grow your own meat, because a lot of places, if you live in town or like a HOA or something like that, they're not going to let you have chickens. Most definitely not going to let you have a rooster. But you can grow rabbits. They're quiet. Yeah. They take up very little space. You can grow quite a bit of meat within a very short period of time. And usually you can hide them pretty well. I'm not saying lie to your HOA, but I'm just saying don't tell them you have them. And just, if they ask, you got to be honest, but don't make it obvious that you're growing your food in your backyard. And rabbits are one of those things that you don't have to be really obvious about. So if you've got a garden and you're allowed to have a garden and you're allowed to grow your own food, if you want to start growing your own meat, rabbits are the perfect thing for that. If you want to grow, if you want to move on to the next step and grow something that's a little bit quieter, a lot less noticeable than, say, like a chicken, or like a whole entire goat in your backyard. You can grow.
Hey, those are in neighborhoods now. I've got an insider scoop. They've taken over neighborhoods. The country has come to town near where I live.
Yeah. Where I live, they kept this place planted with garden vegetables, and dirt is really rich. Yeah. Would still make it a good garden. Yeah.
Yes.
And
around here, if that dirt's dark, go for it. Mm-hmm. Just fertilize it. That's it.
Yeah. See, that's the thing about this place, is our land is a lot better here. We're about 15 minutes from the farm, and what 15 minutes makes is a big difference. Yeah. And so honestly, here, some things we can grow better than we can out at the farm. And so we do that. We can grow green beans a lot better here. A lot better here than we can at the farm. Actually, at the farm, they don't do very well at all. Climbing beans don't. Your aromas and your bush beans do. But I'm not a big fan of bush beans. In general, I like a climbing bean with a string in it. And they taste better. I don't know. They just taste better. That might be a bold statement. That is just my opinion. Nobody get offended. But climbing beans taste better. And so I don't really like to have Romas or bush beans. But they, on the other hand, they are easier to can. And I feel like they hold up better to can to have a bush bean. But you can the string beans just fine. But they're my favorite to eat fresh. And, we can them too. But me either. They get out of control. I don't know. Are you talking about beans, family trails? I can't remember what
rattlesnake pole beans. They'll take over. So they are prolific.
Yeah, they are. I did a video the other day, and I was talking about our favorites. And honestly, I love tomatoes and I love peppers. I love green beans. I love green beans. And I love to grow them. And we have so many varieties that we absolutely love that every year we have to kind of talk out what we need to save more seed of to determine what we're growing, because we have so many favorites: turkey craws and rattlesnake beans and cut shorts and greasy beans and white half runners and just all the beans. And we have crosses of beans. Green beans are my favorite. That's my sister, so that comes on us. That comes on us. And I'm going to give you an example here. My sister lives in town. And just a few years ago, her little boy said, "Mom, I want to have a garden." And they went to Lowe's and they got them some buckets and they started growing a garden on their back porch in the middle of the suburbs, growing food. And so she's a perfect example of that. And so, you know, she's passing on those skills to him, and I'm glad that he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
He said he was a farmer, and so he was going to have a garden, and that's wonderful. And she's a good example. That's my sister, so that's a living, breathing example. Like I said earlier, that you can grow a garden wherever you're at. Green beans are good. Yeah, I will fully vouch for that statement. I completely agree with you. Green beans are good. We attempted it. LOL. We did all right. She called me and said, "What do I need?" And I said, "You need such and such and such and such, and you need to do it this way." And they did good. They did
Hey, you
good.
learn. Even if you fail, you learn. It's a
Yeah.
win-win.
Well, and the thing about it is it doesn't matter how many times you plant a garden. There's always one year that like something's not going to do okay, and that's everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how long you've grown a garden. There's just bad years for certain things. We're talking about green beans. Last year was a bad year for our green beans. Rattlesnake beans are the best to me. Yeah, they're really good. They are really good. Hey, I'm sorry I'm late. Oh, well, welcome. Welcome in. Yeah, I'm a bean girl, and so there's a million, probably a million different varieties of heirloom beans, and we like to grow heirloom plants in general. We like to grow things in general. There's nothing wrong with a hybrid though. We have heirlooms that have crossed over. Like I said, you know, we seed save, but we just let them cross over.
Yeah.
So we have green beans that what. Well, let me see. It was rattlesnake and cut short green beans that crossed over, and we call them pink tips. And they're a green bean. I don't know if have you ever heard of a cut short green bean?
Not down here. I haven't.
They're tiny. They're about this long. And they cross over with the rattlesnakes, so they're short, and then they have pink tips on the end of them.
Well,
from the rattlesnakes, and you know, we let them cross over, and it's a hybrid, but it's heirloom is heirloom to a hybrid. Let me see. Our stepdad just let my tomatoes die while I was on vacation. Daggone it.
that's a bad deal there.
That reminds me of like used to be a commercial. It made me think about it. It was a Doritos commercial, and that guy was like house sitting, and there was like a fish, and there was like plants, and he was talking about like the Doritos crushing them up, made it grow, and the fish died because he didn't feed it, so he threw the Doritos in the fish bowl, and the fish came back to life, and he threw the Doritos on the plants, and the plants came back to life. But it don't actually work that way. Too bad. Tomatoes in winter. No, she didn't grow tomatoes in winter. She just went on vacation in the summer, and our stepdad didn't water them, and she's calling them out nationally and telling on him. He didn't even give them Doritos, she said. Yeah. Bless it. That's okay. That's okay. That happens on them big jobs, like we always say. All right. I know you're a chicken girl. You got any itching for some new animals? Anything you want to try?
Ooh, right now we're all about olive eggers, and we've got olive eggers, but we've got French black copper. We call them Morans. I know you can say it a million different ways. Morans, dark chocolate egg layers. We've got olive eggers and Americanas, and silkies, a few Cochin Bantams, and that's it. And Muscovy ducks. But I'm focusing all on just colored egg layers. So just the different tones of olive and mint green, and going back and forth. So I'm gonna stick with what I've got right now and perfect it a little bit. So get those colors popping.
Oh yeah, we have. Mine's a mix. If you've ever looked at my chickens, it's like literally a true mix. I have them
Okay.
all. And I've got a blue egg layer. I've got a Kukal Moran, so she lays the dark eggs. And then what is the one that she is a golden leg bar, so she lays me a
Okay.
blue egg. And then I've got the Brahma chickens, which lay like the tannish color egg, and the tannish color egg. I don't actually have any hens that lay white eggs. But what happened is I bred them to a mutt, and he must have had some type of blue egg layer in him. And so his babies give me green eggs. And
Well,
so I have blue, tan, pink. I have pink eggs. And then the copper Moran eggs, which is the chocolate egg. So, and then the olive eggs. But I've got two different colors. There's like a blue green, and then there's like a green,
uh-huh.
a green like a actual olivey color, and it kind of has sometimes it has like the brownish kind of specks on it.
Yeah, I love the speckled ones. And everybody says that Morans won't throw speckles. They will. All of ours are speckled. They'll say to get well summers if you want speckled olive eggs. Well summers have dark eggs just like Morans. But no, our French black copper Morans have speckled deep brown eggs. So they're
Yeah.
gorgeous. Our olive eggs, some are speckled, some are not. One's mint with, it looks like mint chocolate chip. It's got the dark flecks all over it with it's beautiful, beautiful. And that's what
Yeah,
everybody's wanting from us right now, and that's what we've got. So
yeah. Well, my Kukal Moran, hers are speckled, and I think that hen that lays those green, the green eggs with the speckles on them are out of her. I used to be able to, the original girls. I used to be able to tell who was laying what because they were all different color. But now I'm having to guess which daughter is which and who came out of what because it's just a big mix. I like it that way though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like. I think it's neat to have pure, and me and Andy have talked about this before, like just getting rid of them and having the pure stock, and then I know exactly what it is. But that's almost kind of boring every time I think about it because once they hatch out of the egg, I mean, I can have like a black chicken with red all over it and feathered feet, and I don't know what color it's going to lay, but it looks neat. So I don't know.
I love the olive eggers. They're all different. They're everyone, even each egg shade is different from all sisters out of one hatch that I've raised from all the different hens. So it's always a guessing game, and they'll look a little bit different each. So I like those. So
yeah, it's funny too because I people that haven't been around animals much, and it still surprises me sometimes, like animals have such different personalities. Like you can look like it looks like a chicken to you, but they all have names and they all have different personalities and they all do different things. And some of them like to be with other ones. Some of them don't like, some of them are wild. Some of them are, a little more tame and shy, and they're just all different. And so I love that about them.
They're very smart. People don't realize how smart. I don't know about rabbits, but I know chickens are extremely intelligent. They know a Folgers coffee can has scraps in it coming off my porch from 100 feet away. They are very smart.
Yeah. They know the sound of our vehicle coming up the driveway when we come to feed them. Like they hear our vehicle, and we've got a distant driveway. Like they can hear us from a distance, and they're meeting me at the barn door, wondering why I haven't fed them yet. Like,
they're very smart. Very smart.
They are. I can't remember. I've looked it up before, but they recognize faces. And it's multiple faces. Like they can recognize a certain amount of faces. And they're I can't remember how many different, like they have a language of their own and they know their language, but there's like multiple different different sounds for chickens. So if you don't have chickens, like they have like a hawk sound, they have like a I'm hungry sound, they have a I laid an egg sound. they have a bunch of different sounds, and different hens make different sounds too. It's really funny.
Some are
honestly.
more chatty than others, but we live out in the middle of nowhere. If there's a hawk flying over, those roosters will scream. I think everybody should have a rooster. That's just me because they help protect the flock by just alerting the hens. But
Mhm.
I'll know immediately there's a hawk, even if I don't hear the hawk screaming before I see him, because the roosters will be screaming. And sure enough, I'll hear the hawk sound. They're very intelligent.
Yeah, we had a rooster. He's my old rooster, and we had to put him down here recently. He's just got old and got in bad shape, and we had to put him down recently. But when we first got him, and he was a spring chicken when he was new, if the hens got to, it was before we free ranged the chickens because we didn't have a dog, a livestock guardian dog, and we had a big predator problem, and there wasn't they wasn't used to getting out. A hen would get away from him, and he would whoop them. He would come up to him and tread what they call treading wing, and he would smack him with his wing and say, "Get over here." I mean, he wasn't.
They did that dance. They lower that shoulder.
Yeah, I'd never seen a rooster. I mean, he would whoop his hens if they got too far from him. I'd never seen a rooster do that, but that was his personality. That was what he did, and they minded him too. Like they.
I would too.
They get that first whooping, and then they say, "Well, I'm sticking right with you, buddy."
Yep.
He was a sight. I actually kind of miss him, but he cracked me up with that. And then you have roosters that are gentle, and then you have roosters that are mean. You know, with hens, they're more aggressive towards hens. I don't keep roosters that are mean to hens. If they're going to bother them all the time, constantly, I get them out of there. But it's funny that some roosters just naturally are just more gentle than others. It's just a personality thing. They just have different personalities, and they do different things. I have lazy hens that like want you to bring the food to them, and they don't. They want to lay in the shade all day, and they don't want to hardly do nothing. And then I have other hens that are, getting out in the main yard and just doing their own thing, and they don't care if other hens follow them or not. They're going to be by themselves, and they don't care. And chickens are like that, and so are rabbits. You were talking about rabbits, and rabbits are just they're funny. And I've got a rabbit that I talk about her on my channel a lot. Her name's Boise, and she is just the sweetest. She is so shy, and she likes being by herself. And I don't know if you've ever seen a rabbit sleep, but when they sleep, you think they're dead, and they've got like one eye open, and they're flopped out, and you're like, oh, please don't be dead. Please don't be dead. And she gets me every day. And today she was like, had her face smashed up to on this side, had her face completely smashed up to the gate. Eye halfway open, this eye open. And she was like twitching. And I thought, oh girl, you're gonna get it. I'm waking you up.
Bless it. We've never had rabbits. I would like to try them, but I'm worried about the heat here with rabbits. I'm scared of the heat. Are they heat sensitive as people talk about? Like,
they're not.
Rabbits.
They're easy to manage. Your best thing to do is to put rabbits in shaded area. You don't want to be breeding them in the summertime because it's just, being pregnant in the summertime is not fun. And having babies and having to manage kids, but it's not that bad. I know you all probably get a little bit warmer than us. But I've never had a rabbit die of like heat exhaustion. But I, keep plenty of water. And if we're having a hot day, I take a water bottle. I put it in the freezer. I just keep a couple water bottles in the freezer, throw them in there. And if they're hot, they'll lay on it. Something also you can do is just like ceramic tiles. They stay cool, and then put them in the cage. And if they're hot, they'll lay on it. But I've never just seen a rabbit and thought, oh my goodness, they're gonna die because of the heat. But you all are a little bit warmer than us. And so, I don't want to say for sure, but you can do things that's going to keep them a little bit cool. Mostly, you're talking about having a wooded area. So I'm sure you probably have some shady spots. If you keep them in the shade, they're fine. They're fine in the shade. And if you do see them getting a little hot, you can throw a water bottle in there. In the summertime, like I said, I keep ceramic tiles in there and they stay cool.
That's a
I
good
haven't had
idea.
yeah. We also have them in a metal barn too, and it gets hot in the barn, and
Yeah.
so we do have a fan in there to circulate the air. But everybody did okay. It was the first time we had them in the what we call the rabbitry now, which is the barn, and
Yeah.
they did fine. I don't even
Good.
think I had to get water bottles in the summertime. I don't think they were even to that point. So let me see. My girlfriend and I are thinking about trying to start a homestead with some chickens from her dad. That's awesome.
Good.
That's good. Question: do any of these breeds make good meat chickens? Do any of your breeds make good meat chickens?
Out of the ones that I named, probably not. But a breed that we have had, we've still got a few left. Wyandottes or Wyandottes, however you'd like to pronounce it, Wyandotte. Those to me are a good dual purpose. They're not specifically meat. They're moderately fair egg layers, huge cream egg, the size of a Rhode Island Red. We've compared them side by side, but they're huge. They are huge, especially if you get a good bloodline. I mean, they are fat. Now it takes them about 7-8 months to start laying, but they're very good chickens, and they're ornamental. Their coloring is great. You can get gold, silver, or blue laced, splash, black laced red. You can get all different feather patterns, and they're gorgeous. People really want blue laced around here, so that's a good breed to have.
They're beautiful too. I've always wanted a Wyandotte. We never had any. As far as we go, we don't grow any specific chickens for like we don't grow meat chickens. We don't grow any. So, like I said, we have a mix. We do have the Brahmas, and they put a lot of size on. And we roosters and stuff like that. Rooster meat is going to be a lot different than your hens. It's going to be a lot different than the meat that you buy in the store. So I'm going to go ahead and say that up front. But they're large in size. I don't really know if people really consider Brahmas a meat chicken, but they're huge. And if you cross them with something like we do, that we have crosses on the farm, all of the crosses that I've made, your Kuka Morans are smaller, your golden leg bars are smaller, but we have mixed them with that Brahma, and they're coming out huge. And so we've got bigger chickens than we've had in past years, but I don't really, like I said, I've never grown specific like Cornish cross or your, the Red Rangers or anything like that.
Yeah.
I've heard more people have problems with Cornish, the Cornish cross than actually like them. I know some people like them. But I've heard people have more issues with them than actually enjoying them. So there's a point there. If all of the breeds make chicken, but I like Brahmas mostly. He's saying he likes Brahmas. If you wanted a true dual purpose, Brahmas are a table bird from Cornish. Yeah. So I didn't know that about Brahmas, but I know that they're putting meat on my birds.
Yeah.
We just bought chickens because we just bought the chickens we bought because I thought they were pretty, if I'm going to be honest with you. And they laid eggs. And so,
that's how we started. So, yes. And that's a huge factor, especially if you sell chicks or your business and all that. I mean, it's a factor. People want that. They want beautiful chickens or either beautiful eggs. That's a huge market for that. So it's always good to have one of the two. So
yeah. Well, I was talking the other day. I think on a live or maybe one of my videos, and I was talking about us getting out of the New Zealand and Flemish Giant rabbits, which sounds crazy because we're homestead. Don't that just sound crazy that I'm selling my meat rabbits? But we've got the mini Rexes, and I'm really wanting to get into the standard size Rexes and standard Rexes, mini Rexes in general. You can sell for pelt. Obviously you can sell the manure and stuff, but that's with all rabbits. But they're meat rabbits too, and there's a lot of good sides to having the Rexes, and another good point, and I forgot this point, is they make better pets than your Flemish Giant and your New Zealands. They want to be held, they want to be cuddled, they want to be loved. And majority of the market that I have in my area is split right between pets and meat. And so I wanted to, I'm trying to cover the gap here. I'm trying to make more of a pet friendly and a meat friendly market there. And then on top of that, they're pretty. They're pretty.
Yeah.
And people like pretty. And like you're saying, it's better for business to have something that's more dual and to have something that's dual and pretty because it sells better. And when you have a homestead, some people can, homestead full time, both have both people at home, but a lot of times it's either both people working or one or the other person working. And you have to kind of figure out a revenue. You have to figure out a way to make money. Or at least I do. And, at least the average person does when they have a homestead, that way that they can continue on homesteading. And so we've sold meat rabbits. I've sold them, like I said, as breeders. I've sold them as pets, but I want to kind of widen the horizons. We've got the pedigreed mini Rexes, and I want to get the pedigreed standard Rexes. That way I can widen it even more with selling pelts, selling the pedigree, selling, better pet quality, along with being able to put meat in the freezer. I've talked about this as well. It sounds crazy coming from a homesteader. I'm not looking to fill my freezer with rabbit. I want other things in there too. And so if I have to choose between selling or freezing, I'm going to sell to you every time. I'm going to sell to you every time because I can take that money and put it into something else, whether it's to buy more chickens, whether, it's hunting gear to go wherever, you know what I mean? Like I can add to the homestead by selling to you more than being able to put it in the freezer. Because if I already have stuff in the freezer, rabbits produce fairly quickly, and I don't need 300 rabbits in my freezer. I don't. And so I want it to be as dual purpose as possible. And I know that sounds crazy because I feel like when I make videos and I tell people that, people are probably like, she's not a homesteader then. But I also have to make a living. I have to make money.
And I get to keep rabbits. So,
I can keep rabbits. Yeah. So I'm not out here, telling you that you need to grow your own food and you don't need to be selling stuff because, you have to in order to stay afloat. Or at least I do. And I feel like most people do. You have to sell something to stay afloat. You got to make your money back what you're putting in on your feed and whatever else. Let's see.
I'm reading the comments too.
Yeah, I was trying to catch up here. Let me see. He's talking about the Brahmas. Has anybody got any questions? We've been on here an hour and 30 minutes. Has anybody got any questions for Miss Harmon Homestead here? That if you haven't followed her channel, and if you're new to her channel or whatever, do you got anything you all would like to ask her? We've been chit-chatting, and I want to make sure that everybody gets their questions answered. I'm trying to scroll up here to make sure we didn't miss any questions. I also want to make sure that you for sure follow and subscribe to her channel. She puts out a lot of information, a lot of things that I don't talk about, a lot of things that I don't do. And like we were talking about, this is a community. And so we want to pull together and be able to teach each other different things. So let me see. We got some questions popping up. How many acres does she have?
3 right here.
Hilltop Home Place said, I'm potting up tomatoes while listening. Enjoy y'all so much. Awesome. That sounds really
tomatoes
good.
are doing well. So,
yeah.
I'm so
Do you
proud.
want to talk about that? I know you talked about it on a video, and I was telling my husband about it before we got on this live. Do you want to talk about your tomatoes? Because I feel like people need to know. I feel like it's something going on and people need to know about it.
You want me to go through the whole thing that I put out?
Whatever you want to talk about. I do encourage you to watch her video as well. It came out today.
Yes. I filmed it this morning. In fact, I will show you right here if I don't fall. Oh, it's my little greenhouse dining room. These are my tomatoes. I have started over 300. These right here are all Better Boys from last year. And I did not water them tonight. I've got 19 out of 20 that's germinated. So they did beautifully. Everything else, I'm not going to get up and show you those. I'll dump them all out. Out of 300, I've probably got 30 that have germinated out of seed from this year. And these right here are the same potting mix, same location, side by side, everything. The controls were the same. I do planting by the signs. I've done that this year for the first time. I look at the calendar and I see what days are good. Like, I think yesterday was Cancer sign, so that was a good day to plant. You want certain signs, Cancer, Taurus, things like that. Maybe not Taurus. I get so confused on it. I have to go back and check. And that's an old Appalachian tradition as well. So everything was the same. Tomatoes, 30 out of 300 germinated, including probably those. So something is not right with my seed. These were bought last year in 2023, so it was 2022's seed. All my seeds that I bought this year were in December, January, so that would have been 2023 seed from that harvest. Nothing is germinated. And I don't understand why. I've not changed anything that I've ever done. I'm going to restart tomorrow and try to plant more. These are from multiple companies as well. I put out a video this morning. I said something is not right. It's just not, something's not right. So I'm very nervous about that. And even in the same mix, I've had tons of other stuff germinate. Herbs, German chamomile. If you guys grow this stuff, you know it's hard to grow. Rosemary's grown in it. That's very hard to grow. Spearmint. I've got peppers galore, but no tomatoes. So something's up here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I told my husband about it, and I thought, I'm not. I'm a little bit nervous. We haven't had to get much. We did save back some, or we have some seed saved back, which is the Kellogg's Breakfast, Black Creme. But for whatever reason, I don't know why. None of us thought to. We did not save any tomato seeds back from last year. We have seed from the year before, but I grew things last year that I should have saved seeds for. Why I didn't, I have no clue. Why did it not cross my mind? I don't know. And so we didn't save any of that seed. And so now I'm nervous to buy the seed that, we didn't save back. And so we'll just have to see how it goes, I don't know. I'm a little nervous about it.
Yeah, and I mentioned in the video this morning too that for the first time, I don't know if you guys are aware or not, that the home gardener can now buy GMO seeds. So if you don't know about that, you need to look it up. We talk about stuff that's in our food, bioengineered, GMO, all this kind of stuff. We've always said you can't buy that as a home gardener, so don't worry about it. It's only for commercial farmers. But now a home gardener can now buy it. It's called the purple tomato. And that's unprecedented. So we only grow hybrid heirloom. We grow Better Boys Atkinson. Now I've got Kellogg's and Kellogg's Breakfast and Black Creme. Neither one of those have germinated. I've got a list of, I think, 60 varieties, Atkinson, things like that. So we do regular tomatoes. I'm thinking the drought may have affected it last year. We had a severe drought here. I don't know where they source their seed from. All of these companies that I'm buying from, I do not seed save on tomatoes. So it could be that. It could be the temps. Who knows? We're going to start again tomorrow and hope for the best.
We did have a drought last year, and I wish I would have saved seed last year. Somebody said that their tomatoes didn't do any good. Our tomatoes did really well, and I know what happened. It was on my mind to can. I didn't really eat any tomatoes fresh because I wanted everything canned. I don't know why, but I did. And so I was taking all the tomatoes and putting them in boxes and then canning them. And I didn't hardly save any back to eat. We ate just a few, to eat, and I would try to save back. But here's the thing, and I know it sounds crazy, but the reason why we didn't eat many fresh is because I won't like I don't eat like tomatoes on a sandwich or anything. I'll eat them in salad. I know. Very un-Appalachian of me, but I can, but I don't like to just eat a tomato. Like, I like it mixed in with stuff. And so we would have like tomatoes and noodles and, spaghetti, and I would eat them with that if I hadn't canned them. But I can't just like have like a ham sandwich with like a tomato on it, or like a I know, shame.
I love a tomato sandwich. Just tomato, mayonnaise, pepper, salt, and bread. Woo! That's good eating. That's fine eating.
But I'll eat them in salads and stuff like that. But I like them with something, and so my fried green tomatoes. I'll eat fried green tomatoes. That's my sister commenting that. So we're cut from the same cloth. But just like a tomato by itself, it's just not my favorite, and so that's why I canned and just like save a couple back for him to have, like 7 back, so he could have one each day of the week. And then I would can the rest of them and not save the seed of them. 1, because he was eating them, and 2, I was canning the rest. I wasn't leaving none to go bad, and so I didn't save no seed. I know. Let me see. Let me say, I don't like tomatoes. Got everybody all stirred up. Every person that grows tomatoes last year had a bad crop. Very interesting. My crop was actually really good.
Mine was the best I've ever had, but I pruned. Someone said something about blight. Put copper on it. Copper. I put copper pipe down by the plants. I put copper spray on the plants. And an ag guy told my husband to spray baby transplants as soon as you plant them with copper to prevent it. Copper. It works. Prune the tar out of them and fertilize. We had our tomato plants were over 10 foot tall. They I wanted them done. I couldn't stand it anymore. They just kept going. They kept going until the really bad heat hit here in August with the drought. But copper.
Ours didn't get real tall, but they produced quite a bit. Like I said, we're in that clay soil, and we did not water throughout the drought. We just didn't. It's like I said, it's a half an acre, and we don't have like a water source that we can bring to them, other than we have a swimming pool that's been like technically a pond now. It's been empty for years and years, and so when the drought first happened, I thought, I'm gonna water these, and I'm just gonna have to water them every day. Well, it took 2 5-gallon buckets to water 2 rows, and I did that for a couple days, and I thought, I ain't doing that no more, because carrying a 5-gallon bucket, we'll say, I don't know, 45 feet from the thing that you got to walk up the steps and walk down the steps and go, and only 2 5-gallon buckets, watering 2 rows was just not it for me. And so the plants didn't get tall, but our garden produced quite a bit. The only thing that we had problems with was beans. The green beans didn't do very good. But I think the main issue with that was my mother-in-law planted them, and she planted them too close together. Corn was the same. She planted them too close together, and by the time we realized, it was too late. And so they just kind of starved each other out. They would have probably done better if they hadn't have starved each other out. But amongst the drought and the 100-degree temps we had, we did okay as far as the tomatoes go. And so we didn't have no problem putting a bunch up. I just didn't save none. 104 tomato plants last year. Late frost, wildfire, smoke, drought, terrible until mid-August. Finished the year off okay. Yeah, it sounds like you had a rough time there.
Where are you at? Treks and Preps with Mike P. Where are you at?
Sonny said cocktail sauce and white vinegar with those fried green tomatoes.
I've never heard of cocktail sauce. I mean, my husband eats my fried green tomatoes like Tic Tacs. Just there's no time for sauce.
I don't need no sauce either.
He loves it.
eat so many that usually there's not many left by the by the time I'm ready to call everybody in else to eat them, because I've done ate half of them. And you're just gonna have to get the slim pickings at the end if you're gonna have me making the fried green tomatoes.
Yeah. We can ours, our green tomatoes. Have you ever done that?
No, I haven't.
Very easy. Very easy. I use lemon juice in mine. I actually like the flavor. Just slice them pretty thin and then can them. And it's a water bath. It's totally easy. And then just drain them, batter them, fry them. Easiest thing. We'll get fresh fried green tomatoes all winter long. So super worth it.
I've never done that. I didn't even think of that, honestly.
Super easy.
My mother-in-law canned last year, and I absolutely fell in love with it. She canned it late in the year, and we had a bunch of peppers left. And she said, "Save the pepper plants for me, and leave them up, and I'll get what's left of the peppers." And like I said, we share the garden. I said, "Okay, we'll save them all for you. I'll put them up for you." And she made pepper relish or pepper jelly. Pepper jelly. She made relish as well, and it was really good. But pepper jelly, I beat all of her jars. She'll make us supper. We eat at her house quite a bit. We're over there quite a bit. Like I said, our farm's over there, and we spend more time at her place than we do at ours. And she cooks for us a lot. And she'll whip that pepper jelly out when she cooks. And I have to tell myself, do not eat. Everybody else wants pepper jelly too. Do not eat it all because I will eat it. She did not make enough. I'll declare it right here and right now. She did not make enough for me this year or last year. So she's going to be on pepper jelly duty, and she's going to have to make it exactly like she did last year. So she better remember it because I'm in love with it. I'm in love with it. I could eat it I could eat it every meal. It's so good. Have you ever had it?
Oh, this year I canned, I think, I'm embarrassed to say, I think 75 half pints of pepper jelly. We had 20 jalapeno plants, so I froze the jalapenos, I did poppers, I did pepper jelly, and cowboy candy. And the pepper jelly over cream cheese and a Ritz cracker, that's good stuff. Very good stuff.
Yeah, I just take a spoon and
just dip it out. Yeah, it's good. It's good. But yeah, I was all into jelly this year. That was my huge thing because I was not that well versed in it. Jelly and jam. I canned all summer long. And it all turned out great. Muscadine jam. I made bukus of that. Bukus.
What's in muscadine jam?
My uncle grows muscadines, and he sent down, I think, 3 5-gallon buckets full of ripe muscadines, and he said, "Do with them what you want." Well, I didn't want to do the jelly because I didn't want to waste the skins. The skins are my favorite part of the muscadine. I love it. And I didn't want to have to fool with. I just didn't want to go through the process of the jelly. So he also sent a food meal too. So I made muscadine jam, and it's just the hulls, the pulp, and you do the food meal to get the seeds out. That's it. Lots of sugar. Boom, you're good. And it is. I eat it on PB and J's all the time. It's excellent, 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 and it tastes just like muscadines. So.
I've never had it. What is a muscadine? I don't even know if I've ever seen one. I don't know what a muscadine is.
Oh, babe. Hold on a second. Hold up. Let me show you. Well, you won't see the whole muscadine, but you'll see the jam.
Okay. Yeah, I've never had a I don't even know what that is.
Let's see here. It's like a grape.
A grape.
Like a little, it's like a sour grape kind of thing. But this is the jam. It's just, and it's like purple, burgundy. And it's a beautiful, just, yeah, it's like grape, like a huge grape. And some people call them scuppernongs. They're different varieties. Scuppernongs, muscadines, and it's so good. It's sour and sweet at the same time. You're just going to have to go try it.
Yeah. I don't know. How do I not know? I don't know anybody that eats.
They grow wild down here. They're all in my yard, and the vines will take over like kudzu. Y'all got kudzu up there? Okay, kind of like that. It's invasive. They just take over. So
maybe that's why. Maybe that's what why you all it's more common for you all, because you're saying it like it's like a common thing, and I now that you said like a grape, I'm picturing it. I feel like I've seen it before, but it's not something that I might be totally wrong, but in my area, I don't believe it like grows like that, like just out in the wilderness.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, down here you get them in the yard. Your yard. I mean, everybody has muscadines in their yard, or out in the country they do. Or I mean, you'll see muscadine vines everywhere, and it's a grapevine. That's just how it looks like, grape leaves, the triangular, beautiful leaf, but it just takes over everything, and these vines get the size of my wrist. I mean, it'll be like trees just growing up in your trees, and it's really invasive. But eating them is a different experience. They're sweet and tangy at the same time. Real tough skin.
Huh.
So, but it's good.
That's very interesting. I feel like well, you're talking about them being invasive, but I feel like it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have something invasive that you can actually eat.
Yeah.
If it's going to take over, it might as well be food.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a good thing. So
somebody said I make pepper jelly all the time. My grandkids get offered the pepper jelly, if not on ice cream. Oh, I'm completely reading that wrong. I make pepper jelly all the time. The grandchildren get offered if the pepper jelly is not out on cream cheese every dinner at my house. Oh, yeah.
It's good.
Makes good wine. Muscadine makes good wine. Yeah, she said it grows wild in Alabama. Yeah, it's just not a problem that we have. I don't. Not something that I mean, I don't know anybody that just like has muscadine overrunning their yard.
That's crazy because I mean, I've got almost 100 of these pints of this. I mean, but now he grows them. Like he's got, I don't know what you call them. He's got wooden fences set up to grow them on. But I mean, we've got them here, so.
Yeah, I know what. Yeah, now that you said grape, I could picture it in my mind what it was. It hit me, but it's not as, I don't know. It doesn't grow with goldenrod. I would be allergic to the muscadine.
Probably not.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we've been on here almost 2 hours. I asked you all earlier if you had any questions for her. So we'll give you all a few minutes to get your questions in, and then we'll probably call it a night. But y'all, let's see what your questions are before we get off. I want to make sure that we're getting everything covered that y'all want to know.
Yeah, I saw my phone battery flash low, so it's getting about there. So I've got a little while on it, but I think we've had a good time tonight. I think it's been good. We've talked about some stuff, and
and you all make sure that you go to her channel and check her out. Like I said before, she's got stuff that I don't cover. And we're here to support each other. And be a big community that we can come to for help and guidance. And it goes the same with my channel. I talk about, I want people to be able to ask the questions and not be judged or looked down upon, or, to be embarrassed to ask the questions that they need to help grow their own food. I think like we were talking about, there's a big stigma about, people not really knowing what food is. And I want it to be a big mission of ours to be open, be an open community so that people can come to my channel. And I'm sure you're the same way, to understand where food comes from and how to grow food without any judgment or unkind words spoke about it. I try to keep my channel, clean. We're not going to be mean to people about different things. We're gonna try to be open and help people with the questions that they have. So, how do you all predict summer temperatures? You want to go? You want to go that way? Because I'll just wait till summer hits me in the face, I think.
It's hot. It's going to be dry. Some summers are wetter than others. Some you have hurricanes come in down here, and we get a lot of rain from that. But you know it's going to be hot. It's going to be bad hot, and there's no in between. Now you can't get the almanac, the Old Farmer's Almanac. I use that a good bit. It seems to be pretty fair, pretty accurate. So, but
Yeah,
it's hot.
That's what I was gonna say. Is the only thing that maybe I would trust was the Farmer's Almanac. I don't really even trust the weathermen, so
Yeah.
they're always wrong.
They were wrong this week with me. They said no frost, it's going to be above average, and everybody on YouTube was saying this polar blast is coming. Well, here me and my husband are out with a pool tarp covering up our transplants because here was the frost. So you just never know.
It's probably getting ready to warm up for you all because I know it's getting ready to warm up for us. I think we're going to be in the 70s, low 70s, coming into this week.
Yeah, we've got 77 next week. So
he said the summer forecast is hot and wet.
That's what I have for mine. So
I haven't even looked. It's crazy. It's crazy that I'm a farmer and I don't like pay attention to those things, but I don't. I'm like the Bible says, I don't worry about tomorrow. It's coming regardless.
It's coming either way. I promise you this, it's going to be hot. So I promise you, here where we are.
Yeah, well, I think she's in New Mexico. So yeah, they're not. Y'all aren't getting no break. I would figure.
There won't be snow, I can promise you that, come this summer out in New Mexico. I highly doubt that. So it's going to be hot.
Yeah, I just let it come. There ain't really nothing I can do to change it, and so what comes. Usually, if I hear the weather, like I just said, it's supposed to be in this. That's secondhand information that somebody's heard from somebody else because I don't watch the news, which is it's weird of me, but I don't watch the news. Every once in a while, if somebody says it's going to rain, I'll get on the little weather thingy on my phone and I'll be like, oh yeah, it says it's going to rain. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see if it's going to rain. Because they usually start out like the beginning of the week, 80% chance of rain. And then we'll slowly dwindle down and it won't get none.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. We weren't supposed to get rain today from what I understand, but we were heading home and probably 10 minutes up the road from the farm, they got a shower. So it missed us completely. Thank God, because we're trying to let the garden dry out. But my husband said something about rain tomorrow, so we're wanting to get in there and till and break up all those big clods of clay. But it's going to be a long time. That's it. That's the thing is, I can start seeds, but I'll probably have to baby them for a while because it all depends on how dry the clay is in the garden. For us to get in it. Right now, if I walked in that dirt right now, I would have just a big 10-pound clod of clay on my foot when I got out. So that's the unfortunate thing about the farm soil is that we've got to depend on the weather completely as to when we start the garden. And it doesn't really. I mean, it depends on the frost some, but it more depends on how wet the ground is, and it stays wet. So that's the unfortunate thing. We usually like to start our potatoes by Good Friday, but last year we couldn't start it until the ground dried some, so they were late in the ground. But anyways, well, I gave y'all a few minutes to get your questions in. Her phone's about ready to die, but I just want to say that I appreciate everybody that popped in. Like I said before, you all are amazing support, amazing community. I see quite a few regulars that usually pop in, and that's amazing. I love you with the love of the Lord, and I hope that you all will come back for the next one. You got anything to say?
All my tribe, if you're on here, go check her channel out, subscribe. Like she said, we're a community, so we need to support each other. So, and thank you for having me on. So thank you for asking. I've had a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have to try this again.
Maybe I'm all for it.
Maybe later on, but I appreciate as well you popping on, and I love this. This is super fun. We've been on here 2 hours almost, and we've talked about everything under the sun. Almost.
Possibly grits. So maybe next time we'll cook that for you guys.
Well, y'all have a good evening. God bless you, and hopefully we can see you on the next one. We'll see you later.
All right. Bye guys.